Well, hello, Mark. Glad to see you here again. Looks like we're back in the weather mode today, and it's time we did an update. We've got a lot of things to talk about today. Mainly, right now, we're talking about how dry it is out there and the heat. Today, Saturday, here is the hottest day of the season so far, and it sure feels it out there. I'm not a hot weather person. I gotta admit, it's I don't know what is the temperatures. Do you know?
Temperatures today is supposed to be up topping 90, and the next couple of days are supposed to be up in the low 90s for highs. Nighttime lows in the mid 60s. Yeah, very summery. Just not a lot of moisture to work with for those afternoon thunderstorms, though.
Yeah, we're looking at the satellite photograph right now, and you can see there's no cloud cover anywhere around us that I can see. Looks like it's more like about a state or two away from us. I think what I ought to do, though, let's take a look. Let me zoom in just a tad into the region. Again, you see it's really clear. Very few clouds, maybe just a few down in eastern Tennessee. My favorite camera here at UT Martin. If I can get to come up here, here we go. And gosh, they're at 93 and a half degrees. That is a warm one out there. And if we look at the camera for the sky, whew, it's just nothing but some high, thin cirrus. Just kind of one of those hazy, humid afternoons.
Yeah, it's definitely a summertime pattern for us right now, but that's fixing to change a little bit come the middle of the week.
Yes, it is. And what he's talking about is I've been talking about the weather patterns, and I've said all along for quite a while now that we would have a little bit cooler than usual type summer. Now, you wouldn't think that by looking at it right now, but I'm talking about the overall aspects of it. Not to say we won't have some hot weather, which is what we're having right now, but they won't last quite as long, and it looks like that we're going to get a pretty good cool down coming, probably starting about next Wednesday, Thursday, somewhere in that time frame. The model's still a little bit wishy-washy on when they think it'll come in, but certainly looks like temperatures could be as much as 10 degrees below normal, which is unheard of this time of year.
Yeah, that would put sometimes our highs being in like the mid to upper 70s instead of in the middle 80s.
Well, I know folks like to get out there on the lake, but when it gets this hot, I can't even enjoy it out on the lake because it's just too hot to sit out in that sun in a boat, especially if you don't have any breeze. You know, but I could take now some mid to upper 70s. That sounds really sweet, and the humidity will be lower. But now I am saying we are dry. We're getting real close to a drought. Um, at least in the abnormally dry status. It's off to our west and north just a little bit, but it won't take much now for this to really start getting a little more serious. Especially a day like this, you have a lot faster drying and with no showers or anything to help water it, it's just going to be kind of miserable. So. But what we're seeing is that somewhere around, about the 8th, 9th, maybe we see the model showing a little bit of a trend towards wetter weather. Hey, I can take 70s for highs and wetter weather any day of the week.
And so can most of the farmers. One of the biggest problems we've had in this area in the past several years has been how dry and how drought like conditions we get through the summer sometimes.
Yeah, and last year was a pretty nasty year for growing as far as the drought goes, and I don't think we're looking at a repeat of that. We just got a little bit of a dry spell. I will tell you though, when you get a dry pattern started, it's really hard to break them. But I think we'll have a good shot at it. We'll see. We'll know more in a few days when the models get into a little bit better agreement and everything. But it's that time of the year. What do you? What else is going on?
Well, believe it or not, the tropics are starting to be a little bit active. We have had our first tropical storm of the season. Tropical Storm Arlene formed late yesterday, and it's already been downgraded to a post-tropical cyclone. Winds right now are sustained about 30 miles an hour. It's moving to the south southeast at 7. It's way down just off the northwest coast of Cuba. And the forecast kind of takes it through the Strait of Florida right there and over toward the Atlantic, where there's another low pressure area. It's not a tropical system, but they may combine and go up towards off the East Coast. Right now, they're not looking at too much of anything from that, except a possibility for a little bit more rain along in Florida, south of the I-4 corridor.
Yeah, we're going to take a look at that. I've got the graphics up on that from National Hurricane Center. You can see where the red is. That's Arlene. So it has been a named storm. Has maximum sustained winds of 30 miles an hour. So it just is a tropical depression right at the moment, and I would imagine it's going to continue to maintain that status. We'll see how it plays out. The movement right now is south-southeast at 7 miles an hour, so it's not moving very fast. But, the Gulf water is still pretty warm, although they have cooled a little bit in the last probably couple of months, but it's still pretty warm. So it looks like that may continue to be an issue. Let me see if I can check out the other graphics here. I want to go back to...
The unusual thing about this is this storm, from the time it has formed, has moved to the south and southeast, which is an unusual direction of movement for a tropical system in that area.
Well, the whole thing is they're saying there's a 60% chance that it will increase. Is that what I'm reading, or is it just no? It's what it says down at the bottom on the graphics.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, we'll watch that. Don't think it's going to affect our weather much. I kind of wish it would bring some moisture in here, but we just have to do what we can.
Yeah, but for those who might be going on vacation down to Florida, it's a vacation-y time of year now that the school is out. If you're heading down that way, just know you might be putting up with a little bit more than normal as far as the afternoon and evening showers and thunder showers you get in Florida.
Right. Surf, more or less. And, I'll tell you something else let's do. I want to look at, if I can do this, and I got Levi here with me, help me up here, make sure that I don't push the wrong buttons. And, okay, we're back to the satellite. You can see there at the bottom there, around that area where Florida is, you can see parts of that tropical depression. Doesn't look like much right now, but give it time. It'll form. I think I want to get off this and go to the radar and take a look at that. And I don't see anything except a bunch of little boxes that are special weather statements, and looks like maybe severe thunderstorm warnings, but that's way on off away from us. We just have nothing here locally that we're going to be able to brag about when it comes to any shower activity or anything like that. But as I look at this, you look out west there around Paducah and everything, we've had some activity on the new Madrid. I do want to, first of all, before I get into this, tell everybody be sure to subscribe and hit notifications and like on this, because I tell you what, I got some special stuff coming up in coming weeks, and we're going to be talking a little bit about the new Madrid fault. And a lot of people who may be new to the area or new viewers to our page, that's a real danger we're having to live with every day. And it has been fairly quiet, so to speak. But, last Tuesday there was a 3.0 up in just west of Calhoun.
Yep.
And then another one, 4 minutes later, there was another one, a 2.5 in the same, or it wasn't really the same area, but very close to the same area. So it's picking up. And then today, we're going to talk about this here in a minute. Just be sure and hit subscribe and like on this, because I've got some special stuff coming up. I'm not going to share it all right now. I'm going to surprise you, give you a little bit of I'll give you a heads up before we do it. But you're gonna be happy, I think, with what we're intending to try to do. Preparedness is a big thing with us, because being weather people, we want to see people prepare. But also, weather is not the only danger we're facing. We face this chance of an earthquake, and it could be a major earthquake. It has happened before, and obviously it's going to happen again. It doesn't just go away because it hasn't been active for a little while. So we're seeing an uptick in the number of earthquakes occurring on there, and they're a little bit stronger. They're more in the 2.5, 2.6 range, and some of them are jumping up to about 3. So, yeah, that's something we're going to keep an eye on. I tell you what, before we get any further, why don't we just take a look at that, and then we'll come back, talk about that a little bit, and then we'll talk a little bit more about weather. So Take a look at this on our earthquakes. An earthquake 5 days ago on May 30th struck the New Madrid fault zone just west of Calhoun, Kentucky, sparking concerns it could be a foreshock for a much bigger quake yet to come. Very early on Tuesday morning, a magnitude 3.0 earthquake hit western Kentucky and was felt in parts of other nearby states as well. Then, about 4 minutes later, another quake measuring 2.5 was recorded very close to where the first one occurred. Within the past year alone, the USGS says there have been hundreds of earthquakes recorded in or near the New Madrid fault zone. Quite often, foreshocks warn us that a major earthquake is coming to a particular area, and some are wondering if this event qualifies. Scientists tell us that the New Madrid fault is about 35 years overdue for a major event, and because of the nature of the Earth's crust in that part of the country, a major earthquake would do significant damage all the way to the East Coast. Most Americans don't tend to think of the middle of the country as an area that is in danger from earthquakes, but the truth is that some of the worst earthquakes in U.S. history have taken place along the New Madrid fault. If you have lived in this part of the country for any length of time, you've heard about the massive 1811 and 1812 earthquakes that devastated the region. During the winter of 1811 and 1812, 3 large earthquakes thought to be 7 or 8 magnitude tore thousands of very deep fissures in the ground, and they caused the Mississippi River to actually run backwards in some places. They also caused sidewalks to crack in Washington, D.C., and church bells to ring in Boston. They occurred a few weeks apart on December 16th, January 23rd, and February 7th. Hundreds of aftershocks, some severely damaging by themselves, continued for years. So some of you may say, well, that happened a long time ago. Why should we be concerned nowadays? But did you know that the New Madrid has produced significant quakes since 1811 and 1812? The biggest quake since 1811 and 12 was 6.6 magnitude quake on October 31st, 1895, with an epicenter at Charleston, Missouri. The quake damaged virtually all buildings in Charleston and created sand volcanoes by the city, cracked a pier on the Cairo Rail Bridge, and toppled chimneys in St. Louis, Missouri, Memphis, Tennessee, Gadsden, Alabama, and Evansville, Indiana. The next biggest quake in the New Madrid seismic zone was a 5.4 magnitude quake on November 9th, 1968. That was near Dale, Illinois. The quake damaged the civic buildings at Henderson, Kentucky, and was felt in 23 states. The USGS also says that the frequency of earthquakes in the central and eastern portions of the United States has quintupled over the past 30 years. Let's hope that it is a very long time before disaster such as this strikes. But, as we said, earthquake activity in the central part of the country has increased dramatically in recent years. Earlier today, Saturday, June 3rd, another earthquake was recorded just north of Nebo, Kentucky, measuring 2.5 magnitude. Another was recorded near Ridgely, Tennessee, measuring 2.8. So activity appears to be increasing, but there is no way to know if this is an indication of something bigger coming. It could be tomorrow, or it could happen 50 years from now. We cannot say for certain that a major earthquake is going to strike. That's why we urge you to not panic. The choice is completely yours as to how to use or ignore this information. One thing is certain. There is no need to panic, but there may very well be a need to plan, and plan fast. We urge you to plan now. Get an emergency plan in place. Having supplies and not needing them is better than needing them and not having them. Prepare while you can. Your life may depend on it. Well, we're back, and I changed sets while I was away for that little piece. I thought maybe I like this. Hey, I'm kind of out there enjoying the tropical type setting. I guess it kind of matches up the weather we're having outside. But anyway, yeah, it's the New Madrid is something you should prepare for. Don't be panicked because we don't know. You can't predict when another earthquake like that's going to occur. Like I said, it could be tomorrow. It could be 50 years from now. So there's no difference in the danger that we have, that we've been living with all along. But as we get ready to close this out, I do want to remind everyone, don't forget how hot it is out there. Mark, what do you say?
Yeah, definitely don't forget. Remember your precautions when it's hot like this. Take breaks in the shade or in air conditioning. Wear a hat. Wear light-colored clothes. Drink plenty of water. And remember, do not leave pets or kids unattended in a car.
That's right. And if you got long hair, you probably need to get it cut like me. My hair's done gotten long. It's pretty hot out there when I'm trying to work in my garden. I did manage to get my garden pretty well planted, so I'm pretty happy with that. And anyway, get ready for a pretty decent summer. We'll have a lot of things coming up. Again, be sure to hit subscribe and like on this. I do need those subscriptions, and please believe me, they're not going to charge you anything to do that. They may ask you to set up an account, but that's just no big deal at all. It'll enable you to easily get back into there whenever you want to. So stay tuned to us in the future. We're going to have a lot more new and exciting things coming. Got all kinds of new technology we're going to unveil. You're going to enjoy it. So with that, Mark, say goodbye.
Goodbye, everybody. We'll see you next time.